is gonna sound weird, but I don't like being perceived. Like, I don't like people having any type of image of me in their head. Like,
oh my God, my Spotify Wrapped is so ass. Like, Spotify played with my Spotify Wrapped. Oh my God. You built that shit brick by brick by brick.
I say this with so much love and so much kindness. People are going to judge you. They're gonna judge you no matter what you do, and there's nothing that you can do to stop that.
The time has come and gone, and while the holiday season is imminent, the Gladiator event of the year has passed. Spotify Wrapped has officially wrapped. And whether you're on the front lines posting your Wrapped unabashedly on your story, or carefully blocking some stats because you do suspect foul play in the Spotify data mining setters, more than ever, this time of year has become somewhat of a performance ritual or humiliation ritual. I mean, that's completely up to you and your listening habits and what you're comfortable with sharing or not. But whether this is your first Wrapped or just your most recent, this isn't by any means a new phenomenon on the internet. There is something to the feeling to want to share / not want to share personal listening information on the internet, or just generally with your friends. So let's get into the role of authenticity and performance in social media and how it has evolved. And this conversation initially isn't going to be a shocker to anyone. Like, oh my God, people being fake online? Who would have thought? But dare I add some nuance to this conversation. Now, while I was thinking with this little noggin about what I wanted to talk about this week on this channel, a complete separate train of thought got this idea flowing. And it was actually the conversation of the performative man. Yes. And while I already know that he, along with that whole discourse, are long dead in the social media zeitgeist, you have to understand and empathize with my personal affliction of wanting to continuously beat a dead horse. Because if there's a dead horse, pow, you can trust I'm going to beat it. No, but seriously, this discourse brought up a very interesting secret third conversation, and none that have really anything to do with the performative man himself. So bear with me. The important thing this conversation brought up were the questions around what is authenticity, and aren't we all just always performing, particularly online? And genuinely, I am so sorry if you're looking for more performative man discourse. So if that was the reason you're watching this video, I am so sorry. There are other places to find that. So word to Gina Rodriguez, do some research, mama, because we gotta move on. Now back to the question, is it possible to be authentic at all? Or more so, were we ever authentic in the online space to begin with? Well, first, to have this conversation, we have to define authenticity. And according to the Oxford Dictionary, it's defined as the quality of being authentic. Right. So very informative, Oxford. Thanks for using the word in definition.
What? Child. Anyway, so
jokes aside though, in philosophical corners of the internet, personal authenticity is often defined as being true and honest with oneself and others, having a credibility in one's words and behavior and an absence of presence. And its meaning is then often clarified by contrasting it to inauthenticity, similarly to how you'd compare light to darkness. But in the absence for any clear criteria of judging authenticity, the boundaries between being authentic and being inauthentic are more amorphous and uncertain, and often porous. These things are often seen in a very black or white manner, leaving no space for true nuance. There are distinct definitions and philosophies by Heidegger, Camus, Sater, and the like, and we could really get into the weeds as to why authenticity is not just being real and honest, but also these characteristics necessary for authenticity include capabilities for unbiased self-examination and accurate self-knowledge, reflective judgment, personal responsibility, humility, empathy for an understanding of the other person, as well as a willingness to listen to feedback from others. Achieving personal authenticity is complicated by the presence of illusions and biases, including self-deception, wishful thinking, and the tendency to behave differently while under observation. But for the sake of this video, let's keep it cute, light, and fresh, and have all this in mind, but use the SparkNotes version. Authenticity is being real and true to oneself and others as well. And I think authenticity is complicated by behaving differently while under observation, or as we like to call it nowadays, being perceived, which is especially relevant in the age of social media, which poses the question we've been asking. If you're posting to be perceived, can anything be truly authentic online? Something to think about. Okay, authenticity, maybe yes, maybe no, but what about performance? This creator explains it really well.
This whole notion of performance aligns with this sociologist's dramaturgical theory. I'll tell you what that is. So Goffman basically compared our interactions in life to stage performances, like drama, like theatre. So we have front stage interactions where you're publicly visible, interacting with people, where you are choosing how you want to be perceived. And then backstage is your downtime, where you're not public facing and you can plan essentially how you want to be as a person. And I always had thought of social media, posting on social media, as an active performance of self, very front stage. But then I read this journal that said that people who post on social media do not perform on stage, but create artifacts and exhibition spaces. These aren't active performances in real time. They're artifacts from previous performances that we've captured and have put up in a gallery, which is social media. And I quite like this view of social media as like a curated collection of artifacts, which in itself functions as a further performance. Like it's kind of a curated version of the curation in itself. Social media is the highest form of fakery. And I think that even applies to like normal people as well. No one's posting their backstage. I may deep that way too much, but I'm researching for it to be on the bus and it makes sense in my head, so I just thought I'd share that.
Even if you have zero aspirations of becoming a content creator or an influencer, there is a level of curation that you cannot deny. This sort of front that we all put on social. It's the version of ourselves through a perceptive lens. The version of ourselves that we like other people to see and think of us as opposed to who we really and truly are, which may be the same or may not be. Now, when we're talking about the concept of online authenticity versus things like performance being at odds with each other, what does that exactly mean in the online space and how has it evolved? And can I be honest with y'all for a second? Would y'all be mad at me? Y'all gonna fight me? Stay back. Okay? But I need to speak real right now, and y'all might not like what I have to say. I hate to be the one to say it because y'all keep asking for real and authentic content creators and just real content online. But the fact of the matter is, the majority of viewers and consumers generally would be very bored if everyone online was authentic all the time, or at least as authentic as you can get online. People are on their phones to begin with because they want to be entertained, whether they know it or not. And to entertain, you have to have an awareness of drama, flair, scripting, faking the funk a little, if you will, because expecting people to be on all the time is cynical and diabolical. And the whole nature of social media, especially now, is built on very emotionally pulling and emotionally tugging content. Even content that is framed to be authentic is still curated to a certain sense, because even authentic content creators are playing into the content strategies of storytelling to best convey their message to the most amount of people. But if you want to hear more about this specifically, we did make a video a while ago about our self-surveillance and always feeling perceived, so you should definitely go check that out.
I honestly hate how fucking fake people are on the internet, and you might think I'm talking about the influencers. No, I'm not. I'm talking about the audience. I hate the way that the audience in general demands authenticity from people. Oh, you have to be natural. If you talk in a certain way, you're too PR trained. We want to see authenticity. You have to be relatable, whatever. And then whenever somebody is an actual human being with independent thought and their own ideas and opinions, people jump down their throat and harass them.
Because we have such a punitive mob mentality on the internet, there's no real space for actual authenticity, because with authenticity comes flaws and unlikableness. The fact of the matter is, not everyone is palatable, but people are made palatable as to not be canceled or to just be brand friendly. Like, there are a number of reasons why people choose not to be 100% themselves online. And also, if we refer back to the definition of authenticity, it can be seemingly impossible to be so. Like, sure, there are some people that are more comfortable showing their face on the internet than others. Hello.
In the course of this campaign that you did.
Hello?
But there still is an almost unachievable standard. Like, you'll need a sense of naturalness or else you'll get caught trying. And the whole idea of being caught trying is definitely more self-imposed than anything, but we have to admit it exists for a reason. If you're scared to be caught trying, it's because you've been judgmental of catching someone else trying. Like, these standards don't exist in isolation, people. Now, we as a community and as a society just gotta edit and revise it. It's just a giant sense of digital imposter syndrome at the end of the day.
I've been posting on the internet for like 2 years, and as someone who used to have post anxiety, the advice that I have for anyone who like wants to post but is scared to is that like that goes away. Like, that literally disappears when you do it and when you keep doing it. When you realize that this isn't real, and that if you are really thinking so much about how you're perceived through the lens of this screen, you need to get off of the internet, because you're likely creating judgments and perceptions about other people based on your activity and your presence online.
More and more these days, there are more conversations about being afraid of being perceived. And I say perceived like that, not because I'm making fun of it, because I also very much struggle with the fear of perception, even though I do this as a job. But do I think that any of us are the first to experience this? No. But I do definitely think this is heightened when we live in this sort of weird self-surveillance panopticon where everything can end up on the internet. Like, be so for real. I don't mean to call you out, but like, are you really mysterious and nonchalant and like just don't care about social media? Or are you just afraid of being perceived and struck with overwhelm and decision paralysis, so you haven't posted at all this year? Right. And when it comes to things like posting, the more we build it up in our heads, the scarier it is. And then the more we have to edit and curate ourselves and our whole experience to post at all. Now, this all might sound sort of ridiculous or just not that serious, but I do see and hear conversation about it all the time, both in person and on social media. And hey, shocker, social media is now a reality of our lives. And no, I don't think this conversation is only useful so you can go out and post and pop butt and become the latest influencer. I think we live in a digital social media oriented world where many jobs, especially in creative fields, use social media as a sort of portfolio portfolio, which theoretically is great because more people can get their foot through the door. But on the other hand, you do also gotta post to be able to do that. And a lot of freelance work is set up that way. And oftentimes when we have the conversation around authenticity online, a lot of people point to the past as being this sort of like golden era of authenticity, right? But truly, was there ever really an authentic period online? I feel like we've strayed so far away from God's light on social media and are more in a hellhole than ever with things like AI slop. I mean, see my last video talking about it.
The reason why Instagram sucks now is because everything y'all post gotta be a drop. Everything gotta be a drop, a professional DSLR camera photo drop. We're not rappers. Like, I promise it is okay to go out to eat and post a picture on your page. Like, we used to have to do that. We didn't have no story option before. Everything was posted on your page. The lunch you ate, posted on your page. Your outfit, posted on your page. Quick mirror flick, posted on your page. Like, maybe we need less features so we can go back to normalizing the main part of the platform.
But there, if only for a moment, existed a period online where nothing was truly that serious. Posting online may have been just that. Flashing back 10 years to 2016, you'd open that Instagram brown camera app, open the built-in camera and take a picture. Maybe of your food, maybe of your avocado toast, maybe of your dog, or maybe just of yourself that day. And you'd post that shit. The Rio or Paris or some other godforsaken purplish orangish filter and call it a day. Oh, and the caption, just saying what it is. No thoughts at all, just clicking, typing, and posting. Now, I'm aware this description is definitely looking at things through rose-colored glasses because that era was also the height of like the Instagram like clouded up era where everyone was trying to look super professional or whatever. But it wasn't to the levels of like aestheticization. You get what I'm trying to say, or have you being algorithmed to death. Like no one was really thinking about posting a certain time for engagement. And hell, you can even look at what your favorite celebrities or your crush was commenting on in the activity tab. Like the gap between consumer and creator had not yet formed.
Gen Z is obsessed with 2016. We're seeing a huge shift in nostalgic content, reminiscing on the King Kylie era, the once viral mannequin challenge, Drake's One Dance, Coachella, the iPhone 6S, hoverboards, and it's not a coincidence. The 2016 TikTok filter has over 200 million posts. The year is being repackaged as an aesthetic. Many are yearning for the time before the algorithm became what it is today. It's a reminder of the internet before overly curated photo dumps. From a marketing perspective, nostalgia is one of the most reliable trends you can predict, and brands know this. The beauty brand Lancome recently tapped Kelly Rowland to recreate some of her iconic looks, albeit pre-2016. It allows us to romanticize the past with rose-tinted glasses. It's not just about pretending to relive your Starbucks run 9 years ago. For Gen Z, 2016 meant being carefree, with less performative social content, and not being so chronically online.
Now, do not mistake these thoughts and observations with criticism. Over here, we're in the camp of doing whatever you want with your social media presence online. Like, I'm not fighting for people to be more or less authentic. I'm just making observations that things have shifted. Now we're getting to the section of the video where we're calling each other out a little bit more. And what I mean by this is that we're talking about the need to perform for others. While social media may have started out as a tool for us to connect, it has now become almost an extension of ourselves, where we ourselves have somewhere along the way become tools for social media. It's a form of social currency and a way of gathering intel and info, whether we're doing it knowingly or not. And whether we care to admit this or not is not up to me. But I do know that people are aware of this because of the awareness that they have for when they post on their profiles. It's almost as if we've collectively put posting on some kind of pedestal. And now it holds an enormous amount of pressure of what any one thing can mean about us. And of course, there's always going to be exceptions to this rule. And if you're listening to this and I sound insane, this is obviously not for you. And truly so happy for you. Wish we could all get there. But throughout conversations that I've had with friends and on TikTok, I'm seeing more and more of this. It really seems like there's a gap-turned chasm between creators and audience. And if you do post as a regular person, it's very algorithmic. And even if you wouldn't consider yourself a creator, there's a specific format to optimize aesthetics. So even that feels very planned now.
Your 20 picture photo dump is just as curated and just as performative as the next person that's doing aesthetic photo shoots. Like, I'm so sorry, you guys are two sides of the same coin. And guys, I say that as someone that has 2 accounts on Instagram, like one main one that's for cute photos and then one that's for photo dumps. Like, I'm guilty, okay? Like, for example, I was getting dinner with my friend the other day, right? And I thought my outfit looked really cute. So I was like, oh, can you take a photo of my camera for my Instagram? And she goes, oh, I feel like you try too hard on your feed. And guys, by the way, this is not like a hating friend, like shady friend situation, whatever. And I literally told her, I know you're not talking, like I've seen you craft your photo dumps to be the perfect ratio of like selfie to friends, to nature, to food. Like, please stop talking. Just take the photo.
Like whether you're casually posting or not, we have to admit that social media becomes increasingly for show, regardless of authenticity or even truth for that matter. And a more Black Mirror-ish instance of this was earlier this year when it came out that people were paying for, let me check my notes right. Strava mules? Hello?
This is a hard video to make, but I have to confess that for over a year now, I have been a Strava mule. So basically somebody will pay me to run a race with their Strava account on my phone. I did this with the Brooklyn Mile last year, and that was my mule PR. I track my stats on my watch, and then they get the results on the phone. Sometimes they give me their phone, so like this right here is a mule phone for today. Today's actually a slow mule day. This is a guy who's probably gonna run a 2:40 marathon, but he keeps posting slow times. So then when he does run the marathon, his friends will be like, what? No way, that's impossible. A common misconception is that everyone wants a fast mule, and I would say a good chunk of my clients want a slow mule, and then the majority of the clients are just one-off muling experiences. They just want the glory for one day, one Instagram story.
Essentially what this means is that people would be paying other people to fake their runs on the app Strava. If you're not familiar, there's an app called Strava, which is essentially like runners' Instagram almost. You can like log your runs, share pictures, there's followers and all that. Also, follow me on Strava if you haven't already. But people will be paying other people to fake their runs to consistently look like they're working out and to secure those Strava kudos and keep up appearances, but only seemingly for the Strava community and friends. Interesting. And the shocking part is that this is not like an isolated incident. There have been many different reports to Channel News Asia of teenagers in Indonesia becoming Strava jockeys for pay. Like, this is insane. The fact that any of this potentially happened more than once is, for one, jarring, but also almost too perfect of an example that everything online is in fact a performance and can and will be faked. And to a lesser extent to this, social media managers and the like you're being paid to curate someone's or a business's existence because it carries a sense of cultural importance to maintain the page and performance. Now we got to talk about our biggest case study for this video, the recent hot topic that is Spotify Wrapped. As mentioned, one of the biggest performances online of the past few years released the other week, that being Spotify Wrapped. And do I think that most people take it seriously to heart, like their Spotify Wrapped is their personal identity for all future days to come? I don't know, and I don't think so. But I do think that the internalized gaze of like big Wrapped definitely plagues some people throughout their streaming. I would say sometimes at the very least, especially given how seriously people take Wrapped and how there's a whole culture around posting and not posting and how both of those things say something, or how some people conceal parts of their Wrapped out of shame or embarrassment. And it's because we know that these metrics say something about ourselves. And to add more context to Wrapped specifically, and y'all know that I love to sit down and chat with people that are actually pertaining to the video topic. So for this video, we had the honor of speaking with Cecilia Winter, who is the editorial lead of Global Hits at Spotify, to talk more about this year's Wrapped. And if you're interested in seeing the full interview, you can check that out over on my Spotify podcast, The Imurgency Room, which will be linked down in the description below. But I honestly think that this year's Wrapped was a big improvement from previous years. Like, we got albums this year on Wrapped, and it seemed like this year was really building upon a lot of the criticisms of prior years on Wrapped. I think when Wrapped first came into the zeitgeist back in like 2015 or 2016, it was very fun and lighthearted by the community. But as with most things that happen online on platforms, it turned into something more serious and strict. It became much more than just a cute way to look back, and instead became something much bigger, a cultural signifier that feels like something a little more high stakes. Like, people swap streaming platforms and disregard like years and years of their music libraries on other platforms just to have Wrapped. You have people that private some of their listening sessions just to not have certain songs included in their Wrapped. And you even have people that behave differently at times for their Wrapped. Like, people want a specific outcome for their Wrapped because for some reason we've internalized that as it's saying something about us socially or culturally. Like I said before, it's now a social signifier. And hey, I'm not saying I'm above it. I posted the hell out of my Spotify Wrapped, and I'm very proud of mine. I know what it's like to play some of my favorite songs on loop so I can get my favorite artist in that #1 spot on my Wrapped, okay? Shout out to Ariana Grande. I feel like every year, like clockwork, when Wrapped drops, you're gonna hear how bad people think it is, how good people think it is, some for valid reasons and some just because they feel like they either did or didn't get represented in the way that they thought they deserved to. And however these metrics are decided, they're still based upon data of things that we've listened to. And we just can't show that version of ourselves online while everyone else is. And in regards to this, I think a smaller, maybe not as expressed issue is this idea of quantifying our lives and selves to numbers. Like, this is less so about Spotify, but just how everything across all platforms, with all of these Wrapped adjacents for almost every single app, are just metrics of ourselves from our steps, data, and music. We truly can find anything about ourselves and have it quantified. And I don't necessarily think it's the case for everyone, but I do think some people are fatigued with having even their socials quantified. And given how as a culture we're kind of shamed for our screen times, I think this does cause some friction between the two things. I really do think that because our online presence strives to be a curated performance of ourselves, when we have platforms quantify us statistically outside of our performance, we're either going to be pleased or outraged. And in most instances across all platforms, platforms, we see something that doesn't reflect our self-imposed image of ourselves back to us, especially if it's something that we don't agree with. I don't really think we take kindly to something telling us about ourselves, although we also do yearn to have more information about ourselves. Hence all the personality tests, the BuzzFeed quizzes, your monthly music receipts, what will you look like when you're old filters, etc., etc. And of course, in these conversations with Cecilia, the golden age of social media, more specifically Instagram, and the nostalgia for 2016 came up. And like we've talked about, these were all times of authenticity, cringe, and living freely and posting whatever. But to round up this conversation, we talk a lot about nostalgia. At this point in society, are we even able to go back to being normal on the internet again? Well, no. I think we have claimed a new normal. I think a new supreme has arisen. We are entirely too hyper aware of ourselves and others to ever go back to posting the millennial mustaches drawn on our fingers, or just simply showing our meals, or anything remotely holding notes of the Valencia filter. At this point, unfortunately, we are just too metric and algorithm obsessed and aware. And this isn't a inherently negative or positive thing, it's just the truth at this point. Social media was fun when it was a tool, but now it feels like we are all tools for social media giant. However, there is hope. As Cecilia said in her interview, nostalgia is categorized by 10-year gaps. And since we are right now strongly feeling that 2016 Instagram social media era, who knows? 2026 could issue a new era of online authenticity. And maybe it won't look the same as back then, but maybe we'll be able to incorporate more elements of that time. Less dumps, more single image photos, no overthought captions. Another reason why I think we might try to lead more authentic or go back to our old social media ways is because of AI fatigue. The illusion bubble of AI will have popped by then, and we'll see it for the slop that it is. And when that happens, we can go back to the times of posting just one photo of that autumnal tree. Or perhaps maybe even a casual selfie. Who truly knows?